The Houthis issue a major warning over the ceasefire, accusing Israel of betrayal and raising the threat of further escalation. Is Israel's gamble in Lebanon now aimed at forcing the Houthis to shut the Bab el Mandeb Strait and widen the pressure point? Could Bibi trigger another shock to global trade as Iran continues to choke the Strait of Hormuz and strain shipping routes? Israeli strikes on Lebanon may be backfiring, as Hezbollah responds with its deepest attack yet in the ongoing conflict. Netanyahu promises direct talks with Lebanon as anger mounts and tensions rise across the region.
Following repeated appeals from the Lebanese government to enter into peace negotiations with us, last night I instructed the cabinet to open direct negotiations with Lebanon.
At this time, I say to Iran's southern neighbors that you are witnessing a miracle. So see correctly, understand correctly, stand in the right place, and be suspicious of the promises and lies of the devils.
Amid the confusion over the ceasefire, Yemen's Houthis hailed what they called Iran's victory against Israel and the United States. Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi claimed that the ceasefire declaration itself was a major victory for Iran. The Houthis had earlier threatened to blockade the Bab el Mandeb Strait, similar to the pressure Iran had placed on the Strait of Hormuz. The Houthi chief said, "The declaration of a ceasefire is, by itself, a major victory for the Islamic Republic of Iran, the countries of the resistance axis, the Islamic Ummah, and the free peoples of the world. What the Islamic resistance in Lebanon achieved is one of the greatest battles it has fought to date. The performance of the Lebanese Islamic resistance was extremely effective, and the speed of their operations and their level of perseverance caught the enemies off guard. The tribes, the people of Iraq, and its active forces participated in this round of war. Yemen's operations, with their surprise tactics, are a crucial factor in the escalation process and are progressing according to a structured plan, taking into account the timing of the aggressions. Despite the scale of the crimes committed, the Israeli regime and its allies largely failed to implement their plans. The resilience of the Islamic Republic of Iran represents a massive endurance at the leadership, popular, and military levels. Hezbollah and the Islamic resistance in Lebanon are at the forefront of the battle of field unity and the great confrontation with the Israeli enemy. They were able to inflict severe losses on the enemy through direct operations and engagements. Iran has carried out unprecedented large-scale operations targeting Israeli and American military bases, dealing severe blows to them. Iran's victory and that of the resistance axis have restored credibility to the deterrence equation for the entire Islamic Ummah. It is vital for all countries in the region, their regimes and governments to reconsider their misguided approaches that have led them to submit to the enemies. Despite the numerous efforts by the US and Israel to conceal their losses, it is clear that their losses are significant. The operations carried out by Iran's armed forces were effective, well-planned, and calculated. The extent of the losses suffered by the US and Israel and the number of their failed objectives are truly staggering." Unquote. On April 7, Trump announced a ceasefire involving America, Israel, and Iran, but the situation soon grew more complicated. However, continued fighting between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah created chaos and kept the region on edge. Due to the ongoing fighting, Iran again choked transit through the Strait of Hormuz on April 9, tightening pressure on global shipping. Only 6 ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz on April 9, compared with 11 on the first day of the truce. Meanwhile, Hezbollah stepped up its retaliation to Israeli attacks amid the confusion over the ceasefire. Hezbollah and Israel kept up their attacks on the night of April 9 to 10, adding to the confusion and uncertainty surrounding the ceasefire. Hezbollah launched what it described as its deepest attack yet in the ongoing war by targeting the southern coastal city of Ashdod. The IDF said it intercepted the missile fired at the southern coastal city before it could cause greater damage. No injuries were reported immediately, according to a report by the Times of Israel, though the situation remained tense. Sirens sounded in Tel Aviv and nearby towns in central Israel after the missile interception, warning residents to take cover. The IDF said sirens were also activated in Tel Aviv over fears that falling fragments could cause damage on the ground. Air raid sirens were also triggered in northern Israel amid growing fears of a Hezbollah drone attack. Amid intensifying hostilities, Israel's Prime Minister signaled that Lebanon, too, could eventually see a truce. Netanyahu's comments came after Iran claimed that Lebanon was included in the truce with the US, adding to the confusion. However, the US and Israel had denied including Lebanon in the 2-week ceasefire deal, rejecting those claims. In response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon, Iran once again shut the Strait of Hormuz on April 9, escalating the pressure. The reopening of the key oil shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz was one of Trump's conditions for a truce.
I want to tell you there is no ceasefire in Lebanon. We are continuing to strike Hezbollah with force, and we will not stop until we restore your security. Following repeated appeals from the Lebanese government to enter into peace negotiations with us, last night I instructed the cabinet to open direct negotiations with Lebanon in order to achieve 2 goals. 1. The disarmament of Hezbollah. 2. A historic, sustainable peace agreement between Israel and Lebanon.
Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader issued a statement urging the Middle East to remain wary of the West and its wider intentions.
At this time, I say to Iran's southern neighbors that you are witnessing a miracle. So see correctly, understand correctly, stand in the right place, and be suspicious of the promises and lies of the devils. We are still waiting for a suitable response from you to show you our brotherhood and goodwill.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.